Hey, Dr. Mike here. So you want to live forever-ish? Well, if that's the case, you got to know what's in and what's not. Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. Today we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of living
Foreverish.
Foreverish. Strong, a little longer, but a whole lot stronger.
That's right.
That's the tagline for us. 3 ins. Either these are the things you want to do, or you want to have, or you want to focus on. And then there's an out that you don't want to do those things, right? So let's begin with in number 1. It's melatonin, but specifically in the context of MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, when I was looking at this research, what stands out to me when we think about living forever-ish, and you want to know what's in and what's out, is that you may not always have perfect health, but how can you improve your quality of life and be able to still kind of move around and in spite of whatever cards you're dealt.
Yeah.
I think,
I like
we
it. No, I think
talk
it's
about
great.
that. Like healthy aging is not always, it doesn't equate to disease free.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's something we need to say more often.
Right.
So I think you're spot on. And then on top of that, if you have somebody who deals with MS or you yourself have MS, this also can relate to muscle mass and stuff.
Right.
You even within the context of MS, we got to figure out ways, if you want to live foreverish, to keep your muscle mass up as well.
Right. What can you do to set you apart from others who may not be including these nutritional support or lifestyle factors?
Well, listen to this. This is where melatonin comes in.
Yeah.
So there were 15 subjects with MS, and they received 3 milligrams of melatonin. And then you had 12 subjects with MS who received placebo, right? The melatonin was consumed, or the placebo, right, was consumed 30 minutes before bedtime for 12 weeks. They looked at motor skills, some mental issues like mood cognition, and they measured at the beginning and at the end of the study. And they found some interesting things.
Yeah, in just 12 weeks, we're looking at 3 months. And what the researchers found was increase in knee strength. There was a decrease in the sway area. So the participants stood on this plate, and you can kind of see where they're putting their pressure. Right. Their foot pressure.
And how often is it swaying and changing?
Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of looking at balance, because we know balance, coordination, those that starts to decline when you're dealing with MS, just as a result of the disease. Something
related to that sway is known as medial lateral amplitude. That's just a fancy kind of way of saying, so the first one is you're just standing still and swaying, right? But now you're walking. And they look at how much of a sway you have in your gait, in your walk. And in this case, they saw a decrease in that, meaning that the melatonin group was just a little more steady.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. So, and they're looking at things, for somebody who has MS, if we just said, we got to work on your muscle mass, right? And you can't really exercise much because you have a big sway. Your gait's not even great, right? Well, melatonin may give you a little more steadiness to maybe do something, some sitting exercise, something, right?
Absolutely, because we know that movement and exercise is important with MS. It actually helps helps to modulate the disease and helps to improve your ability to perform everyday activities. And so to be able to exercise without as much of the risk of falls and injury is important. And and it's nice to see something like melatonin that we typically think is helping with sleep, But the researchers think that this is more neuroprotective, maybe acting as an antioxidant in the brain.
And we already have evidence melatonin
Right.
can do that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. We also know that in MS. Now, before we go on to say that, there was also an increase in the cognitive assessment, right? And there was a decrease in what's known as the hospital anxiety and depression scale. That might just be related to better sleep, too. You know, it all kind of plays a role here.
Right.
But we also know people with MS, the pineal gland, which is where melatonin is made, is suppressed. So we're giving back what the body's probably been missing.
And then now we see it translate into better cognitive function,
Yep.
better muscle health.
Better
balance.
Yeah. So if you have MS or you know somebody that does, talk to your doctor or talk to them about melatonin.
Yeah, and 3 milligrams, that's a good starting dose really for anyone.
Yeah, no, 3 milligrams is good.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Well, I kind of do more than that sometimes, but I do up to 6, 3 to 6 for me.
Okay.
I go over 6, I get a reverse effect.
6, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your dose? 1?
If that's when I want to get a good night's rest.
Okay, now let's go on to N number 2. Now this is okay. I laugh a little bit when I saw this, and I say this is because I see them all over my neighborhood now. Everybody's wearing them. They popped out of nowhere. Like one day, I'm just like, what are these people
that's
doing?
Very true.
Like it was out of nowhere.
That is true. Now, in my house, we have.
You probably have 10 of them.
My husband has been wearing a weighted vest for the
that's what we're
past
talking about,
few
weighted vest.
years. Oh, yes. We didn't even tell them what we were talking about.
Well, I was going to wait a little bit, but you
the
kind of
suspense. Sorry, I ruined it.
weighted vest.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, they are everywhere. I'm seeing more people at the park, at soccer practice, all the moms. It's not the men. It's the moms.
I see men wearing. I see everybody wearing them now.
I'm
but.
seeing the ladies, which is nice because the idea that it's supporting healthy bone
bones
mass
and muscle mass. Yeah, we're going to
potentially.
We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that. The problem is, especially when you're trying to lose weight, and you're not eating maybe as much.
Mm-hmm.
You're exercising a little bit more, especially in women. That has been shown to induce bone loss.
Right, because bone responds to weight and stress.
Yeah.
So when you have more weight, that bone is forced to do more remodeling. And so when you weigh less, there's less remodeling.
Yep. So they feel like the loss of muscle mass from calorie restriction, and an unloading of the bones, kind of like what you just said. You're not putting enough pressure on them, decreases bone density, and also then can lead into weight loss.
Right.
But so you're getting the weight loss, but at the expense of muscle and bone.
Right, and that's why resistance exercise is so important when
to
you
keep that
are
up.
losing weight, to try to add on some resistance or some stress to those bones. But it doesn't always help.
No, but and then for me too as a clinician, especially in older women, I that's a red flag for me when I see bone loss for whatever reason, right? And so in this case, dieting itself could be an issue. So here comes along weighted vests. Now, they're not really, it's not a new idea. The vest maybe is.
I think they've been around, but I think it's just more popular. I'm not sure who or what TikTok star is promoting them. Something's happening.
But I could tell you in the 70s and 80s when it was jazzercise, for the advanced class, they would put weighted things around their ankles.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of the same idea, that idea of adding some weight, adding some pressure down, onto your system. Now, I think the ankle ones probably didn't work as well, because the weighted vests are more up in your central, where most of your mass is.
Yeah, I had a pair of ankle weights, and I stopped using them because I read somewhere that it was could potentially harm my knees. So then I stopped.
Well,
I don't know.
Well,
That's why I
is
think the jury's still out on some of this.
I mean, yes, you do have to. Obviously, if you have back issues already, you probably don't want to do weighted vests. You have to look at your own situation. But if you're overall healthy, you're trying to lose some weight, you're restricting some of those calories, and your doctor says it's okay, you can give it a shot. And people do like them. People do report,
right?
At least from a subjective thing, because I've talked to some of my neighbors, they just feel like they get more out of that walk or jog.
So when we look at the benefits, I think there are two categories that we're talking about here. Preserving muscle mass when you're using them along with the weight loss program, right? And then the other is bone density.
And if you categorize them like that, that's fine, but they're still interconnected. Right. But
because the more muscle, then the better
the
bones.
bone. Yeah. So they're still interconnected that way. And so that the whole point is to preserve that muscle, preserve your bone mass as you're calorie restricting.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and a lot of people really do. Now there is some research, because number one question is, will it help me lose more weight? Because I have this load now.
Right. Well, I think that, and what I also see is people are just trying to burn more calories.
Yeah.
Because they're carrying that extra weight.
So here was the study. Okay. Well, first of all, let me give the disclaimer.
Okay.
Although using weighted vests does not lead to the same degree of weight loss reported with certain medications that are out there now, right? The data does demonstrate some benefit to this strategy. High load vest, that's 11% of your body weight now.
And you're working your way up to that.
You don't start probably, you're going to hurt your back.
Find the ones, and just so I can plug here as you're going over that. Yeah. Find the ones where you can take out the weight so they're adjustable. Yeah. There's these little weight bars.
And you
can
them in.
Put them in to their little slots.
Right.
So don't start off.
But if you did, but I think maybe there's 4 or 5 slots. If you fill all that up, that's 11%. Well, it should be around 11% of an average. You got to know your own weight and calculate all that stuff. So they looked at this high load vest, which is 11%, and then they looked at a low load vest, which is 1%. Right? They wore them for 8 hours per day for 5 weeks, and you ready? You want me to say the result?
Yes.
There was reduced fat mass and waist circumference with significant change in overall body weight.
No significant
change, yeah. But the fat mass went
and the waist
down,
circumference.
And that's big.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking is you're burning fat. Specifically around the waist. That's like a check.
And that's a big check.
Please.
That's a big check.
But here's the thing, Dr. Mike. When I saw this, no, wait, I have to pause at the 8 hours a day. People aren't doing that. So just FYI, that's something to think about.
Well, most people,
you should be wearing this at work then.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. Yeah. You work, not just when you're exercising.
Right.
You want to get 8 hours a day in. Most people, 45 minutes to an hour of exercising. And so that's 6 more hours. Yeah. You can't sleep with them. That won't work.
Oh, yeah, because...
That's kind of
no, don't do that.
You might not be able to breathe.
Right.
So you got to be up and moving. So maybe when you exercise, when you're cooking dinner,
weight vest induced sleep apnea. Don't sleep in it.
But what about the bones? Well, the impact of weighted vests use on skeletal health is inconclusive at this time. And there's some studies that show a little bit of an improvement. Some that don't really, like a Wake Forest one showed. It wasn't significant though, just slight. So there's still, we're not 100% sure on all this. But I think if you are healthy, and your doctor okays it, you give it a shot. See what happens for you. Why not? I'm surprised you're not more gung-ho about this because you try everything.
I know. Well, I've tried the weighted vest. That's why.
And you know. Okay.
It's
personal
so I
story.
can't even imagine wearing it for 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
Like I
that's-
just cannot
That's research stuff.
imagine it. But at the same time, I probably wasn't, who knows how much it weighed. Like I don't even know if I was at the right percentage for my weight. This was years ago before we really had a lot of this data.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would be willing to try it again. I'll try almost anything to help myself.
But this time, like, not
stay
only it's a struggle. Well, you're fighting. Your body is getting older. Your body, but you fight against that aging process, and it's a struggle. But just do this. Wear it when you're exercising, but then maybe like when you're doing a little house cleaning, you're in the kitchen cooking.
Yeah.
Just get maybe not 8 hours. Just try to get some more time with it.
I am. I will. It's just that I've looked around and they don't make them like they used to, Dr. Mike. That's my other thing.
They look like army vests now.
Yeah, they've changed
It's
the
an
designs
interesting-
of them, and
It looks very military, very like formal.
So we'll see
Anyway,
if I
don't
can
know.
find one that I like.
All right, in number 3, again to Living Foreverish, is selenium, very important mineral, carnitine, in Graves' disease. Mm-hmm. Right now, Graves' disease, again, this is an autoimmune disorder. Right. Your own body attacks the myelin sheath.
Big genetic influence here.
Yeah, and the myelin sheath is what covers your nerves, so they can keep a nice, healthy conduction. Right? Think of a wire.
So you're talking MS, right? So we're talking Graves.
I know.
You went back to our MS with melatonin.
Graves' disease is I went, wait, start over, Dr. Crystal, go.
So selenium and carnitine and Graves' disease, which is also an autoimmune disease, where the body is attacking the thyroid gland, the metabolic throttle, and it causes hyperthyroidism, so overactive thyroid.
Right.
Now you can take over.
Yeah. Now, so we probably should have mentioned a little bit about MS, and so you got a little study there on MS, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So back to the thyroid, and so obviously, why is this important to Living Foreverish?
What's your metabolism?
Yeah.
You think about your cells working. I heard someone describe metabolism in such a beautiful way when you think about the activity of every cell in your body, and when you kind of add that up, all the work that they have to do, cleaning out the cells, making the proteins, so all of the above, right? Metabolizing the foods that you eat, then all of that work equals your metabolism.
Yeah. And so that's important to Living Foreverish.
Yes.
A little
You
longer,
need your
a lot
heart to
stronger.
pump.
You need everything. You need everything. I mean,
You need the liver to cleanse.
You got to keep it going.
You need the kidneys to filter.
Yeah. So here was a multi-center, prospective, randomized controlled trial. 60 consecutive patients with newly diagnosed Graves. Okay. They were randomized to receive the standard treatment with MMI alone. That's a standard way of controlling the autoimmune attack.
Yeah, decreasing the production of those hormones. I did see in the study that they also gave them beta blockers along with that.
So
which is a part, the standard treatment.
Which is standard because when you get that rush of that release, you need something to kind of calm things down a little bit.
Especially the heart.
Yes. So beta blockers are common. So they got standard treatment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then you got another group who got that standard treatment, but then they got the carnitine and the selenium.
Yep, and then I do have some doses here, 83 micrograms of selenium and 500 milligrams of carnitine.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
And then, of course, they're looking at the thyroid hormones, what's happening to those levels, because that's how you follow thyroid disease, right? So what did they find?
Oh, and they looked at the antibodies too.
Right. So what did they find?
And so what we saw, I think what stood out to me in this research were improvements in the antibodies. The intervention group reached normal TSH receptor antibodies significantly earlier. Because remember, there was no placebo group. There's the group with the standard treatment.
Which you have to do.
Right. And then the group that received the standard treatment plus these nutrients.
Yeah.
And so when you added in those nutrients, they were able to kind of stabilize that overactive thyroid, that attack that was taking place sooner.
And so, you wonder, like, we know selenium is a mineral that is important to thyroid function.
Yeah.
Carnitine. It's these are the things that make me kind of wonder what's really that mechanism of action that's going on. But at the end of the day, I think it's just overall about stabilizing thyroid function, like you said. I still like to know more. Maybe I'm going to look it up later.
Well, they're balancing. I did see some things, but I did not jot it down. But there was some modulation with the immune system.
See, there's
which makes sense.
It makes
right?
There's something. It's not just thyroid function here, right?
Yeah.
There's something else going on. So that's very interesting. So again, if you're someone just like with MS, talk to your doctor about melatonin. If you're someone with Graves, you may, especially early on, because that's at least what the research showed. Talk to your doctor about selenium, carnitine. It's still early research, but it's interesting. I'm sure it'll be followed up with some larger ones.
Well, for sure, absolutely.
So those are your three ends, Dr. Crystal. That's what you want, right?
I have to say this, Dr. Mike. What you want, and this stood out so much with these ends that we chose. If you have Graves' disease, what can I add in? You always say this is integrative medicine, right? What can I add in to maybe the standard treatment to help me respond better?
Right.
When you look at the MS, what can I do to help me improve?
Yeah.
And that's what Living Forever-ish is all about.
Regardless of your condition, we still want you to live forever-ish. And so we need to find ways to get you there.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Now, there's an out. Okay. The out ultimately is this: high blood pressure. Okay.
Okay.
That's the out. But here's the thing. A lot of at-home blood pressure cuffs out there now, right? I mean, there's tons on the market, right?
And you can get them for free.
Yeah, no, you can.
Like the insurance companies, which I think is great.
That's great,
you can get them sent to you, these little coupons for pharmacies.
But here's the problem. When people get those machines and stuff and they open it up and they got the cuff and they learn real quickly how to set it up, there's another piece of paper, and it's pretty detailed, that goes in how to use it properly. No one reads that.
Let me tell you, so I'm laughing. My last visit home, which I can't remember, a couple of months ago, my mom, we had this whole big deal where we wanted to take her blood pressure. And so I'm in there and I go out and I am trying to make her do it the right way.
And she never could. Yeah.
It turned into a whole family discussion. I've been doing it this way and it's fine. And I'm like, Mom, no. Sorry, Mom,
No.
if you're listening, I know you're laughing because we really had I was even trying to tell them to make sure like it's in the right spot on the arm, and
there's a lot to it.
There's a whole thing.
Because the out here really is incorrect blood pressure readings from home devices. And it's if you're trying to control, well, first of all, if you have normal pressure, you get in your 40s, 50s, you should probably check it once in a while. Have one of these at home things. It's great to follow. You shouldn't just check it once a year.
Yeah.
Right? Follow it because, once you start getting those higher readings, they can kick in. And you wait till you go to your doctor a year later, you could be dealing with really high blood pressure. So you want to be checking it. And if you do have high blood pressure where you're being treated, you got to follow that, right?
Well, we've talked about this in the past, Dr. Mike, that at-home readings, when you do them properly, they are more accurate than in-office readings.
They have. That's the key, though, right? What we're finding is most people aren't even close.
So the question is why?
Yeah. So there's some things. Okay. I want to stay first focused on the machines because there's some other stuff I think we need to talk about. But the first thing about the machines is you got to know where to place it on your arm, but then you also got to make sure that you have the right cuff size. Yes. They all come with now some of them have these fancy ones where if you know how to use them, there's a small and a large fitting in it. But it's quite confusing when you're trying to do
I'm like, really? Where?
It's
How?
not. And most people can't. So most of them.
So it's just how you wrap it around or something.
Yeah, but it takes, you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. So a lot of those, the newer ones don't do that. They just have a standard size. It's a standard size that probably does fit only about 50% of the people. That means half the people. Okay, I'll give it 60%. Whatever. There's a large percent of people who that standard cuff is either too big or too small. And if it's too big or too small, what's the problem?
Well, if it's too small, your blood pressure reading is going to be higher.
And if it's big,
then I don't know. I guess it's lower.
It goes lower.
It's not tight enough.
It's not tight enough to measure it. So you get usually a false low reading. So if your number one thing, you got to place the cuff in the right place.
Okay.
Which is right on your muscle, basically.
All right.
And it has to be snug, but not tight. And you should be able to put your arm down like this. Well, people on YouTube can see, but I'm just putting my arm down, and it shouldn't fall.
Okay,
so
snug
big,
but not tight.
If it's too big and you do this, it's going to fall. Right? So, but then the tightness is it's comfy. But it's not like squeezing your hand shouldn't feel like you're losing blood.
And then you haven't even started.
And you haven't even turned the thing on yet. Right? The other thing is I've noticed in these, this is an extra one because I just know this. When you're connecting the tube into the machine that actually gives you the readings, you got to make sure it's all the way in.
Yes. I do know that. I have seen that.
I've seen people where it's like, it's not, and I can hear it.
The air coming out.
And I'm like, Dad, you're not even connected to the machine.
So yeah, these are all the things to take into account whenever you're doing it. And of course, you mentioned arm
sizes, all that stuff.
No, and where it is, slightly.
Just right. I usually tell people put it on a table that's slightly below your heart.
And your knees are supposed to be perpendicular.
And your feet flat.
Your feet flat, perpendicular.
Yeah. And then
don't take it when you're reclining in the recliner. That's how my dad takes his. He lays back. All right, let's get this blood pressure.
And then you want to be, and just before you hit start, just kind of take some deep breaths. Right? You definitely don't want to be checking it when you just had a stressful argument about where to place the cuff. You probably want to just go do it tomorrow. Right? So just, but also I think consistent is important.
Consistency.
Especially if you have high blood pressure and you're following.
And tracking, right, to kind of eliminate those one-offs.
There you go.
And then share that information with your doctor.
100%.
Take it to the doctor's office. So if it's high in the doctor's office, we'll say, well, doc, maybe the physician assistant's not taking it properly.
Listen, I've walked in and seen arms hanging down.
That's so true.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you're going to get a false high reading. And sure enough, 150 over 98. I'm like, just do the other arm, put it up. And it's 130 over 80, So just keep this in mind because this is truly the tip for living forever-ish. Normal blood pressure.
Because elevated blood pressure, that's your silent killer.
It's the number one consistent risk factor for heart disease. Everything fluctuates a little bit. High blood pressure does not. It's a risk factor. How about that? There's your ins and outs.
Woo.
Love it.
A little tough love there at the end, Dr. Mike.
You got to sometimes have it. And I think we got to talk to ourselves too. We're not just talking to the audience. We really are talking. We have family members. We go through things.
That's so true.
Right. We're talking to everybody. So keep that in mind. Hey, liveforeverish.com. Why would they want to go there?
Because there are tons of podcasts. I'm not going to give a number.
500 and...
I kind of got in trouble for giving a number on the last podcast.
That is not true.
Well, we give lots of numbers, but
it's a lot.
We've been doing it for 7
years.
7 years, right, Dr. Mike? Since 2018. So is that 7? And we have covered so many topics.
So many. There's something there for you.
You name it, it's there. And so you can watch, listen, comment. We'll comment back.
Subscribe. And give us a review.
All of the above.
We love it. We
need
thank you for it.
We need it, though. We need the feedback. We want to know that we are reaching you where you like to be met.
Yeah. Sometimes when you do podcasts, you can see what your downloads are and all that, but you feel like sometimes you're in a silo.
So
we don't really know because we're just in our little studio,
right?
Assuming someone's listening.
We want to know who you are.
And then you can go to lifeextension.com, our sponsor, put in the podcast code, the discount code podcast. That's podcast, and you'll get 10% off $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling. I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.